All right, I gotta change the harmonic balancer, the crankshaft pulley as it is. I just want to point out up front that I am not a mechanic. I'm not a mechanic for machines. I'm not a mechanic for cars. I'm not ASE certified. I'm just too poor, too cheap, and too stubborn to pay somebody to do the work when I can figure it out and do it myself. So my videos are for those same kind of people. So if you guys with some experience that are mechanics hear me saying something stupid, it's because I'm not a mechanic. So bear with me. Try not to be too harsh with the way I call things. Sometimes I misspeak. No problem. I'll try to correct it on the screen when I do. All right, so we're going to remove this harmonic balancer and install a new one. I recall filling the power steering remained okay, but the battery light came on. Anyway, let me show you what happened. I looked at it. I at least wanted to know what was going on, and I immediately noticed this. See if I can show you that. You see all that slack on that belt right there? That's not good. That's not going to drive my alternator. Got to looking a little closer, and I'm going to show you something right here. Let's see if I can get my finger. This pulley right here. This is the idler pulley. It puts tension on the belt. That's the path with the alternator that the belt should follow. Well, here's a better angle. But you can see the crankshaft pulley right here is out of line with it. Somehow, the crankshaft pulley has slid off of the crankshaft. And I don't know why. I don't know if the bolt has fallen out. I don't know if the crankshaft pulley itself has broken. And of course you can't tell from this position because what you're seeing is all that you can see. I got to get that worked out. So I've got it jacked up. And before I jacked it up all the way off the ground, naturally I loosened the lug nuts, just loosened them. Now I've got it jacked up. I've got a jack stand under it, tires off the ground. I'm gonna pull it off and take a look. All right, I got the tire off. Here's what happens to your disc when you don't drive your car. This will flash rust. This is just surface rust. You start driving it again, your brake pads will eat all of this off. But in the meantime, your braking will be reduced. Anyway, I put this in here, this little cutout. It lets you, if you ever have to turn your crank, if you're doing some kind of timing thing, you take your tire off, you can access your crank shaft right through that hole. So the crankshaft pulley is right on the other side of that hole, but that's not really doing me any good because I really need to see the pulley itself. So this right here, it's got a bunch of little screws and nylon retainer type things, and I've got to take some of those out. So I'm going to do that. I'll give you an example. Here's one right here. Got a little plastic Christmas tree, for lack of a better term. I don't really know what they're called, but holding that on. Here, hold on a second. I'll show you. All right, I bought this car used for somebody for a pretty good deal. It's a salvaged car. I think I paid $1,500 for it. I've driven it for over 2 years, so of course I've got my money out of it. But you know, it's a salvaged car. It's used. Every once in a while you're gonna have to do something, and every once in a while you're gonna have to move these covers. Buy one of these kits. All right, there's my crankshaft pulley. I can't turn the bolt. It looks like the outer part of the pulley has slid off of this inner part. I've heard no good stories about having to get these off, unfortunately. So I'm gonna soak it with some penetrating oil, liquid wrench, and then a breaker bar and maybe a big pipe extension and see what happens. I'm going to show you the problem with what I'm doing. I mean, not that I have a choice, but because I'm doing this out in front of my building. Okay, I've got a breaker bar on this and a socket on the crankshaft bolt. This is going to deflect some. It's going to bend. It just is. It's metal, but metal still bends. This is also going to torque. It's going to twist. This is going to twist. I've got 2 extensions on here, and this is going to twist. I've got to do 2 things. I've got to stop that engine from turning, and I've got to push it hard enough that I overcome the deflection and break the thing loose. To prevent the engine from turning, you can see in there's a heptagon cut into that pulley. We're going to use that. So hold on, I'll show you. Here's the new pulley. There you go. Here's the cutout I was talking about. This is what you use to keep the motor from turning. And this is what you put in there. So what you're going to do is, you're going to take this and you're going to put it in there. So as you turn this bolt, put a breaker bar in this, you let it go out, it hits an A-arm or a piece of the suspension. It locks it down, keeps the engine from turning while you loosen the bolt. So that's how we keep the engine from turning. Let's see what we get. All right, here we are. Take this, put it in there. See what kind of angle we can get. Okay, there it is. It's seated in there. It's not hitting my arm, so it fits. And then we'll put a breaker bar, and we'll come, hopefully, down across, and maybe use the breaker bar on the transaxle shaft. And then we'll use our regular breaker bar to get the bolt loose. All right, so let's set it up, and then we'll get going. All right, so here's my setup. I've got the tool in here to hold it still with the breaker bar. Breaker bar's crossing that transaxle shaft or drive shaft, however you want to refer to it. And it should stop the pulley from turning. I've got I'm having to use a regular ratchet. We'll see how that holds up. And there's the setup. And I'll put a fulcrum, a lever over that, which will be in the form of a pipe. And I'll see if I can't put some leverage on it, and I'll try to hold this in with one hand and do the pipe with the other hand, and see what kind of leverage I can generate. Won't be able to film it because I'm going to need both hands, so we'll see. All right, there's that bolt. That's the bolt was holding the, I'm saying the crankshaft pulley, but it's really the harmonic balancer. It's the actual name of it, the harmonic balancer. When I got this new one, there's a sticker on here that says you must torque this bolt back down to the right torque. So, got to do that. I'll show you how I got it loose. I was using this pipe, and it was not breaking loose. So I have a second pipe. I'll show you this. Lucky for me, I was able to make that, and that's what did it. That's what did it. I had a lever that long. Good luck. All right, I'll remove the tool and breaker bar, and I'll try to get that pulley, that balancer off, and then reinstall the new one. To get that pulley off, you can see the power steering belt is still on. So I'll have to loosen the pivot nut, that one my tip of my finger's on, that, and then use the adjustment here to loosen the tension on this belt. And then we can remove this belt, and this belt is okay. It hasn't been on there that long. I replaced it not too long ago. And if you're interested in, that's the kind of belt that I've got on it. All right, so we'll take this off and then take our harmonic balancer off. All right, so this is a 12 millimeter socket. I bought a kind of a long ratchet wrench, and it pivots. It's good for getting into spots like that. So that's 12 millimeter socket used just to loosen that bolt. And then we're going to need a deep well socket to get down over that to be able to adjust that to loosen this belt. All right, so you can see I've used a 12 millimeter deep well socket to back that nut off right there. All right, the last bolt you'll need to loosen is kind of hard to see, so I took this cover off to let a little more light in here. And once you loosen it, this will fall down basically on its own. You can see how easily it moves with just me picking it up a little bit. So I'm going to try to show you that. Those right there. So you got two of them. You got this one. This one is not the one you need to loosen. It's this one. So when you look down in there, this is the one you're going to need to loosen. That is the other end of this. That holds the other end of this shaft. If that shaft can't rotate, that can't go down. So you need to loosen that as well. Once you make that belt loose, just get you a screwdriver, drive it in between the belt and the pulley, and it'll just pop it right off. Just start here, work your way around. It'll pop right off. And remember, you're not trying to remove this. You just need it off of the harmonic balancer so that you can remove it. So this belt can stay right where it's at. You're going to put it on. I'm going to reuse it because it's almost brand new. It's less than a year old. All right. I was able to just grab this and just wiggle it off a little at a time. Notice that it does have a key, so you need to put a Woodruff key back in there. When I pulled this one out, the key fell somewhere. Who knows where it fell. But anyway, here's what happened. That came off of that. That is not good. On a scale of 1 to bad, that's bad. So anyway, we'll put the new one on, put the new belts on, and then we'll tighten her down. Okay, you can see I put some motor oil in there. So we use that motor oil to clean this surface, this mating surface, and before I put it on, per the instructions. I'll share the instructions later. All right, so we use the new key. There's the new key. I'm gonna put this on, and I don't have to worry about orientation because it is keyed, and there's only one key on the shaft. There's only one way to orient this, and it needs to be oriented the way the original one came off. So let's put it on. Okay. I've got the tool to hold the engine from spinning. I got the pulley on, and once I got it on, I put the bolt in and tightened the bolt down as tight as I could get it with the ratchet. This bolt has to be torqued to about 180 foot-pounds. You have to put your key in also. So there's a key in there that I put it in. But I tell you what I did, I cheated. You see that thing is ramped right there? It's not ramped enough. So what I did was, with the key that I had, I ground that down just a little bit. There's a little nook that this ramped edge will go inside, and this one just would not go. And I put it onto the shaft of the crank, and then I put the pulley on over it so that the crank would align with that key I had, and then slid it on. Once I got it started, there's a couple warnings. The instructions will show you. I'll show you those. So put that on, got the pulley on, got it on square so that it's not wobbling as it spins or anything like that. And then I got my bolt in, and I've got my bolt as tight as I can get it with this. 180 foot-pounds is a lot, so we're going to do that. I'm going to use my handy-dandy torque wrench here, and get that tightened down. Then we'll put the belts on. All right, I want to show you something about torque wrenches. You could torque something down, but if this deflects, moves around, or goes too far, your torque's no good. So you need to hold this shaft as still as possible. So put a jack stand under it, hold it up. Got a couple blocks of wood underneath it because the jack stand won't come up tall enough. Then I can put some torque on it. Flip it over to the other side here. And what I'll be able to do is put some torque on it. And I'm going to push down on it, and you'll see it's not going to deflect. Now, 180 foot-pounds is a lot, so I'm not going to be able to do it one-handed right here, just sitting here next to it. But I just wanted to show you, as I push on it, my shaft doesn't deflect. That's what you're looking for. Don't let it deflect. It ruins your torque. All right, we got it torqued. When you're done torquing it, run your torque wrench out to one of its lowest settings. I run mine out to 10 pounds, 10 foot-pounds, and I lock it down. All right, do that. That way you don't keep your torque wrench under strain. All right, we need to start getting the belts on. So I got this belt on. Need to tighten it up, get good deflection on it. There's a certain amount of deflection your belt should have. This one's a little tight to feel, but you tighten it up here. Check it, make sure deflection is right. Recommend a Haynes manual for all these numbers. I don't know them right off the top of my head. I'll have to look. And then once you get this tight, tighten down. Remember that bolt down in there, the one on the left, not the one on the right, the one that's a little further back. And then tighten this one down, and that'll lock your power steering pump down. Right, and then after that, we'll put the alternator air conditioner belt back on. All right, let's get started. All right, I just want to show you. I have my deep well socket on the right bolt, showing you it's the one on the left, not the one on the right. I think that's probably the best illustration so far. Here's the serpentine belt I'm using. Got it at advance. This is the number. All right, I couldn't really show you because it takes two hands, but you put a wrench, 14 millimeter, on the idler pulley. You're going to push counterclockwise to relieve the pressure. Have the belt already on the crankshaft, have it on the air conditioner, which is below the alternator, and have it below the idler pulley. Release the idler pulley, you can pull it right up on the alternator easily, and you can see we're on the air conditioner pulley, which is below there. We're on the idler pulley, and we're on the crankshaft. So we're ready to put the cover back on here, put our rock guards on, and then we can crank it up. All right, I got the cover put back on, the belts are on. I've put my rock guards back on, and I even used a piece from my handy dandy kit to get the one that goes right up in there. Goes up in there. There's one right back here. You can't see it. Behind this flange. I didn't put it on even. So, all right. Here are the instructions. If you'd like to take time to pause this and read those, that's good for you. But if the old balancer, this second bullet right here, if the old balancer failed because the outer ring slipped off the hub, is usually due to normal heat heat, aging of the rubber. Simply install a new balancer and it should resolve the condition. That's exactly what we experienced. So that's what I did. And here's some more instructions that might be good for you. You can, like I say, you can pause this and read those if you'd like. But they come with your balancer. You can read it when you get it. Here's a good one. Never use a hammer. All right, got the tire back on. Just a reminder. Torque your lug nuts down. Torque wrench. Torque them to 80 foot-pounds. These are 80 foot-pounds. All right, continuing along. All right, so it's running. The belts are tracking. When I put a new belt on, before I let the engine run freely, I give it a couple cranks and then come out and double check that the belt didn't leave the pulleys. So give it a couple cranks, let the engine turn a couple times, and then see what the belt looks like on the pulleys. Acura TL with the salvage title that I got for $1,500 Oh, and it's been almost 4 years, not a little over 2, almost 4 years. More than got my money out of it. Drives like a champ. All right, there you go, guys. That's the way I did it.